Hello, hello. Yes, so far so good. I have this starting soon screen and I still had to light my candles, so I figured I would just start it and see see how many people showed up. Hello. And there we go. Ha 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 ha. Okay. Hi. This is going to take some getting used to having the camera up here and the chat down here. I will probably need to get a laptop stand. But welcome to YouTube Live Time! Woohoo! Actually, I may need to make this a little bit taller. Okay. No sound change. Sick. Thank you. I have all of this fancy paper that's just been sitting here. This is like good paper. Like, well, not that's top smudge one, but it's like the fancy speckled paper and it's nice and thick that I've been saving. So I did a couple of sigils on this paper, but for the most part, it has just sat in this box for so long. And I'm just like, how about instead I move the box? I move the box over and the box becomes what my computer sits on to see the chat. I know I was running late, so I'm like, I know I've got at least, I was, words. Okay, that is better? That's still a little sketch, but that's at least the chat is slightly closer to the camera. Yeah, always use the fancy paper. Yeah, I actually was thinking about using it to make books. I had a whole bookbinding phase in mid-COVID. I think it was like in between getting the vaccine and then like Omicron happening, where everybody was like re-scared because we didn't know if it was going to be good or bad or what. I was like, I'm just going to start making books. So I started making mostly just sketchbooks, right? Like I really loved that, and I was trying to figure out ways to make it witchy, but I just wasn't good enough at it. Like, I was fine. I made functional sketchbooks, but it was the kind of thing where if I like tried to take them to a crafts fair or something, like nobody would have bought anything. Like, they were good enough that they like looked pretty, but the function, like the pages were like too stiff and all that stuff, you know? Yeah. But so that's one of the things that I was thinking about, because I wanted to, maybe I did start the bookbinding thing before. No, that would have been like 2021-ish. Because it was from my old job, because my old job was at a print shop. I was the designer. I was the designer and the like assistant print manager unofficially, and the signage, like wide format printer, and I was doing bindery, cutting all of the printed, like, because you print more than one thing on a sheet and you cut them apart. So I was also doing that. So that was the job that I had before being a freelancer. Kind of nightmare fuel, but I got lots of fancy paper. And this is not my only fancy paper, but it is my preferred fancy paper of the ones that I have. So, all that to say, I do kind of want to make books out of this, but it's just because it's like heavyweight good paper, not text weight. It's clearly too much to make like a real book. You'd be working with like 1 to 2 page signatures, right? Like, I'm just making assumptions that you know something about bookbinding because you are also artsy person, and artsy people tend to like shit like this. So, but I'm just like, yeah, like a little, so like a 2-sheet signature is already really thick. Like, yeah. So it's so pretty, and it's like it's a cute size. It's not like a functional size, but it's a cute size. Again, for like sketchbook size. But yeah, it's just it says we have 2 viewers. Did somebody else show up? I'm totally 100% just rambling, because I'm so deep in testing mode that I'm just like, I am back and forthing between the tech stuff and the actual talking. So, a couple things started to students. Right, that's... Oh, hello! I didn't realize I had alerts on. Hi, welcome. Cute, and I have... Okay, good. I have a little feed, too, that tells me, like... So, hi, Angela. So it tells me, like, it's subscribed on the little feed, too. I will probably have to do something about... I didn't even realize. It occurred to me in between finishing designing all of the pretty slides and everything and getting to this point, that there were probably going to be alerts. And I had forgotten to design them, and I never got around to it. But it's fine. We have the stock little animation, and it's still cute. So hello. Happy to see you. I was thinking... So again, with all the testing and everything, I may just end up doing slightly witchy crafty shit again, just because, like, that went over well on Tuesday, and it's just a good vibe. So I was like, I've got new candles, so I'm gonna do my... Unless y'all have really, like, in-depth specific stuff you want to talk about, which I'm totally down to just talk. But I figured, since I knew I was going to be in scatterbrain, ADHD, tech and testing brain mode, blah, 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 I was just like, I will bring a thing to do. I'm realizing the framing might be slightly an issue. Because it's great, because it does this, like, autofocus thing where it, like, shifts to where my head is and shifts to where my face is, which is, like, that's nice. It's cool. But I'm obviously not... I'm not telling it to do that, so I don't have that much control over it. I wonder... Bear with me while I'm in deep on testing. If I do that... Okay. It's a very similar shot. It's just not wide. I just made my phone vertical instead of horizontal. It's a very similar shot. I'm gonna have to start... I'm gonna have to start wearing makeup, because lordy, using the back camera on my phone, it's so much higher quality that I'm like, oh no, my bits. The little bits and bobs. Okay. Yes. I appreciate you guys being here as I am doing the testing. And I finally got... It's fine, everything's fine. I finally got, like, the fancy wick trimmers, which I really didn't need. Like, nobody really, really needs these, but they excited me, and this is actually something to talk about. My, like, overall witchy collection of stuff, right? Everybody loves a good collection, a good witchy item. Oh, I should not bang that into my brand new watch. It's fine, everything's fine. Everybody loves a good witchy thing, and I know, like, most of us who are here have at least been doing something along these lines for a bit now, right? But, like, even the first, like, 4 or 5 years, whenever I would see, like, witchy people online or spiritual people online, I was always like, oh, their setup is so good. Oh, they've got all the tools, they've got all the stuff. It's so good. And now I'm just like, oh yeah, I've been doing this for, like, around about 10 years, and now I have all the good stuff too. But this was one of those things that I was like, this is totally negotiable, this is not important, but I want it. So anyway, this is gonna be... Oh, you're sticking to me, that's fine. This is gonna be my new Apollo candle, because I do have everybody's candles burning up there. Well, and up there, and up there, and over there. It is kind of funny that Hermes is the only one in the shot to me, because he's Hermes. But anyway, I've got pretty much all the candles burning, but my Apollo candle is, like, down and out to the dregs. So, new Apollo candle. Yeah, exactly. There's something very fun about having the very specialized tool. 'Cause even with, like, other candles, you wouldn't really need this. The only reason I felt like I needed it enough to justify buying it, which it was like $4, right? It's not expensive. But like, the only reason I felt like I needed it enough is because I use so many of these where I need the vertical reach if I'm going to do anything to the wick, right? So I was just like, this is the way. This is what we shall do. And like, yeah, I get really picky about kitchen stuff, and I adopted the Alton Brown method of anything kitchen that's a unitasker, I strongly dislike. But anything witchy that's a unitasker, I'm like, oh no, this is great. This is awesome for me. I do also, and it looks cool. Yeah. I also have my little spray bottle of Florida water, and I realized I never did that. I'm gonna cleanse this. I've never thought about the amount of this. This never catches on my shirt, and this is catching on my shirt today. It's fine. I never. Nope, it's gone. It's gone. It's about cleansing stuff. I never realized how much rubbing of items I did until I was like, I'm on camera just rubbing these bones on Tuesday. It's like, it's fine. I've been meaning to make my own Florida water because I talked about on stream on a live forever ago. Oh my god, there's someone at the door. Okay. About, like, I'd seen a thing about Florida water was closed, but I never was able to find what the reasoning was or what it was about, and I had just bought a giant refill bottle. So I have still some of that giant refill bottle left. So I think once that one runs out, I'm probably going to start making my own, just because why the hell not? I just made I did make I re-infused / actually properly double boiled the myrrh oil this time. Oh, that looks so much better on this camera with the field of view and everything. Oh, that looks pretty. But yeah, so I actually properly double boiled this. So I'm like, I like making my own bits and bobs, like lotions and potions and such and stuff. So it's like, why wouldn't I make my own Florida water? Yeah, no. It's mostly alcohol, fragrance, citrus, and then I forget which. There are like some herby things that go in there, I believe, as like a tincture or something. But yeah. Yeah, this is why the only reason I even bring up the like Florida water thing is because I'm still confused by it. I don't know why it was said to be closed. I know like stuff like Palo Santo, right? I have a little teeny tiny stick of Palo Santo. I know that using Palo Santo is becoming about as much of a no-no as White Sage. I was gifted Palo Santo, so I'm like, if I'm gifted it or if I already have it, I'm going to use it, because not using it is wasteful. And like, it is a useful tool. So it's like, if it ends up in my possession, and I do like, I'll like check with guides and I'll check with stuff, right? But like, and nobody says like, absolutely no, don't do that, then I'll still use it until it's gone, and then I won't buy more for myself, right? Like, that's kind of my answer to if I ever run into stuff like that, like unintentionally, right? So at the point even that I got this, I had already decided I was not going to buy more Palo Santo for myself ever, really. But I was gifted it, so I'm like, well, if I already have it, I'm just going to use it. So there are some things where I'm like, I'm more firm on the Palo Santo thing, because there's like, similar to the White Sage thing, right? There's like an actual ecological reason of the people who would be using this are like, their like supplies and stuff are going down, stuff like that. Like, things that make sense in like an economic standpoint are just easier to understand. Yeah. It's confused about Sage and Palo Santo too, mostly just that it's everywhere, but it's not acceptable. Yeah, Well, because it was so weird. It was weird. Like, I'm trying to place it in a timeline. Like 6 years ago or so, I heard like one person talking about White Sage is closed, don't use White Sage, and then I stopped using White Sage. But like people on the whole weren't really talking about it, and so it was one of those things where like, it even became like a colloquial thing a little bit within witchcraft circles that if you were smoke cleansing, or if you were doing any kind of smoke cleansing, you were saging, right? And then obviously the connection directly to smudging as like an actual ritual that I can't even remember which nation it is that does it, which nations. I think it's a Cherokee thing. But so it was like the whole thing being that it intended to be a whole ritual, and people would just be flying around with white sage and not doing anything respectful about it, and then doing this, calling it smudging, using the white sage. So it was like even using the white sage was like a bit of a like, okay, maybe, but like also you're not doing what you're saying you're doing, which was part of the problem. And then it became like an over harvesting and over farming kind of a problem, like every agriculture thing that ever becomes in demand is like there's no balance to it, right? So hey Lid, howdy, welcome. Sorry, the chat is down here on my computer, so I'm probably gonna have to get a computer like stand or something to be able to put the chat next to my phone if I'm gonna keep doing it this way. But I may just need a... But hello, welcome everybody, happy to see you guys. Yeah, I was just like, white sage doesn't even like smell very good to me. It's like, it was like the first time I ever heard somebody say don't use it. I was like, okay. So it's just, people just weren't talking about it like 5 or 6 years ago, except for in relatively small circles. And then it finally started to gain traction like 3 or 4 years ago, and people were like, no, actually, seriously, stop. And then I was like, oh, this is great. We're like actually really talking about this now and not just like saying don't do that and like giving. So it was a journey. It was a journey to get there. Yeah, exactly. The one time, or one, I can't say the one time. I only ever used it a few times before I was sort of informed of why not to do that. But like one of the few times I did, and I was home, my mom was like, were you just smoking weed? And I was like, no. But point taken. Yeah, it's just, it's not a good smell. It's not, there's so many reasons to not do it. So it's just like, let's just not, hey? Let's just not. How about that? Anyway, that's such a tangent. But I wasn't on topic anyway. Like I said, I'm mostly just... Yeah, like every store still has it because people still buy it, and the stores are thinking in like the economy, supply and demand mindset. So it's like, if you ever find a store that's actually not selling white sage, that's probably a sick as hell store, right? Like they probably really get it. But most, especially small mom and pop witchy stores, I don't think really have enough, like, don't really make enough income sometimes to limit what they're supplying, which gets sketchy and uncomfy a little bit. But it's just like, if that's their business and their livelihood and they're trying to make a living, I get why you wouldn't stop selling it. Because also it's the thing of like, right, if you have a Native American person who's like, I know I can get this here, then maybe they'll get it there. It's just like, it gets so weird. And there are like more ethical places to buy it from. I have seen on TikTok, I have seen a Native American guy who grows it and sells it, and he had a whole take on why it was fine if everybody else used it as long as you bought it from Native Americans, which makes more sense, right? But I was just like, yeah, I'm too far gone. I'm just not doing it. Yeah. Sorry, I'm really gonna have to find a way to get the chat up here somewhere, but it's okay for now. Wait, there's a store that will just put it in your bag. That's crazy. I dislike that. That's a choice. That's a okay. Just threw it in the fire pit. We're cleansed. That honestly, love that vibe. Lid, I honestly kind of agree with you on the burning any leaves is stinky. I have mugwort incense burning. I do love the smell of burning mugwort. Like, there are leaves I like the smell of burning. Tobacco is one of them. I don't want to smoke a cigarette, but I like the smell of burning tobacco, like when it's real tobacco. Like that kind of hits for me. I get it. I don't want it in my house. I do not want it in my house. Outside. Outside, real tobacco, not cigarettes, not inside. But yeah, for the most part, I do agree. Most burning leaves just smell like burning leaves. I love a thing that I would do for Apollo actually was I would kind of like roast bay leaves, which I know that sounds crazy. It was a whole thing. I also wanted to burn deck. There was a whole thing that I would do for Apollo for a long time. It was when I had... Do I have one nearby? I did earlier. I was going to grab the right size of candle, but it doesn't really matter. I had the smaller ones of these, like the ones that were about this size, and I had like charcoal tongs. And I would like the witchy, the teeny tiny cutesy ones, right? Hello, welcome. This is a bit of a this is a bit of a test, but we're doing okay. But I had the candles this big, and I would hold a bay leaf like a few inches above the flame, and it would blacken and basically roast over the flame like a marshmallow, and it smelled so good. And that was like a regular thing that I did for Apollo. I did that most nights for a few months because it was like it smelled good to me, and it was one of those things where like you're just standing there holding a leaf over the fire, and you have to be super careful, right? Because bay leaves are so flammable. So like if anybody tries to do this, be really, really careful. Have water nearby, right? Like fire safety. But it smelled so good to just like roast bay leaves over Apollo's lit offering candle as part of the offering, and it was such a vibe. I would make sigils out if and when the bay leaves ever did catch fire and I would blow them out, I would make sigils out of the embers and the smoke in the air over the candle. It was... I should do that again. That was a great time. Hello. Oh, hookah and spliffs. Yeah. No, I hear you. I've never actually smoked hookah, but I do... Obviously, I get the vibe. Basil Cajun style? What mean? I'm intrigued. What mean? Make sure I didn't miss anything else. Clove tobacco. Yeah. It's just there are, like I said, there are lots of leaves that I like the smell of burning, but sage is not one of them. Any variety of sage too, like some people will use mountain sage instead of white sage. I'm just like, I don't even like that. Like I just don't need any burning sage anywhere near me. Thank you so much. Mugwort is the closest smelling thing to that because sage and mugwort are both artemisias. Oh, this is a whole... I don't think I've talked about how much I love mugwort. I know I've talked about that I like mugwort, and I know I've talked about all the tree stuff and everything, right? So I think I've mentioned mugwort in Gotcha. I know I've talked about mugwort in context of the like other plant spirits that I really love and get along with. But just I get so nerdy about because I try to find out not just all of the folklore, right, but as much of the science and stuff that I can as well. So like one of the things, right, I love mugwort, I love camphor trees, and I love bay leaves, etc. Bay leaves are a laurel, and camphor is also a laurel. So like bay laurel, camphor laurel. Uh, so those are connected, which makes sense because they both smell really fucking good. Like that's not what makes it a laurel, right? But they do smell good. And and then the for mugwort. So right, like it's mugwort is an artemisia, wormwood is an artemisia, sage is an artemisia, I believe. I'm pretty sure most, at least, I'm not sure exactly how it all breaks down, but sage is an artemisia. Um, Something else. There's more, but I just like mugwort is my favorite alternative to so many things because like right, it's got the like psychic divinatory qualities. Like I would put when I talked about using. Sorry, I put my contacts in and they are not liking me, so that's why I keep looking up and blinking. Sorry. Um, but mugwort has. I'm also not used to looking at the real camera and not the chat and a camera together. So mugwort has these. Right. Mugwort oil. That's what I was onto. When I was talking about having the same sense that you use regularly for meditation and astral stuff, and practicing using the same sense, the same music, the same environment, right? The thing that I would use for that was mugwort oil because mugwort also has these associations with psychic stuff and astral travel, etc., etc. So I would use like I would have a piece of amethyst sometimes. I would almost always have either mugwort oil somewhere on my body, like my hand, the back of my hand, or something like that. Or I would drink a mugwort tincture, which I also did that before any big reading events, which we did do a lot of those when I was in college. I was part of a club. It was a whole thing. So I was teaching witchy shit back in college, by the way. So when I say I've been doing this for 10 years, I also mean like teaching witchy shit. So I've been like teaching witchy shit for whatever, like 8 years. But so being part of that club, we did a yearly divination tower event, which was awesome. So, but you'd be there for anywhere like we have like shifts, right? So you could do like an hour if you wanted to do a little. But because I was like on the executive board of the club and I was one of the leaders and I had a lot of practice and blah blah, so I would be reading for 1 to 2 hours at a time, and sometimes like come back for a second shift. But I always had like it might have even been this water bottle, to be completely honest. I would have it would be full of water, but I had a homemade mugwort tincture that I would squirt in to that I would squirt into the water as part of my like revamp of like when I get tired, because mugwort's also like a really mild stimulant. So one of like the folklore things about mugwort, one of its major nicknames that it's known by is sailor's tobacco. So like literally when sailors would be out at sea, it was something about, I don't know if it was the way that the tobacco was cured or if it was just when they would run out of tobacco, but like mugwort would keep better and longer. So it doesn't have nicotine in it, but it has similar stimulant effects, and that's good enough for the sailor boys apparently. So yeah, that was how it got some real popularity in Europe and stuff, was being this like alternative kind of to tobacco. But yeah. Teaching has no creds. I don't know what you're talking about, Aaron. Yeah, so I love it's like herb lore and stuff gets so nerdy, and I don't have enough qualifications to be like I am an herbalist, because I only really give a shit about the herbs that I like. I'm like, I understand that like a tincture of blackberry leaf or blackberry or like dandelion root or whatever, I know those things have healing qualities, and I know that they have lore. I love the lore behind dandelion stuff is also pretty cool. But it's one of those things that gets me a little bit nervous, not because there's anything wrong with herbalism, but because if you start looking into anything related to like the lore of how to use roots and stuff, it's usually hoodoo and conjure and stuff, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna not do that. Even though like the lore, like I will look into the lore and I just won't do the thing, right? So yeah. Actual question that's not just me rambling. What are good herbs to burn for most deities, if that's the thing? I will say most. So generic for Hellenic, right? Pretty much every Hellenic deity will take olive oil as an offering, just broadly speaking. Most of them will also take honey, and bay leaves are pretty common. Pretty common offering. They are most strongly associated with Apollo. There's a couple of others. I can't remember who else. There's at least one other more major deity who has associations with bay leaves specifically besides Apollo, but that is another one of those that's like similar to olive oil, and just like the prevalence of olives and olive oil and stuff. It just bay leaves were around and they were a good aromatic. So that's a solid one for pretty much any Hellenic entity, any Hellenic deity. Otherwise, like that's the one that I know for sure. Most of them like bay leaf, like bay laurel. There, as far as honey, it's gonna take some getting used to matching. Is this my head moving around and the camera tracking it? Is that getting annoying? Because it's even distracting to me. So I hope it's fine for you guys, but let me know. It's gonna take some getting used to be like, Mary is Vesta, make connection to brain, because that was also happening on Instagram too. When I was having anybody who had a different username on Insta versus TikTok, I had to actively make the like, I know you are this person, I need to acknowledge that I know who you are. Yeah, Hecate would probably like it just fine. I haven't I have the bones. I can ask the bones just to make sure. The only reason I have any tentativeness to just saying yes absolutely, the chthonic deities, like meaning the underworld deities, right? Hades is technically chthonic, right? Or Hermes is technically chthonic, even though he's also Olympian. Hades is chthonic. Hecate is chthonic. I don't think Persephone counts as chthonic. No, she does. She must, because of the Eleusinian mysteries being what they are. That would I don't know. Doesn't matter. That wasn't the question. But yeah, just generally speaking, underworld deities do tend to be a little bit different, but also Hecate's Hecate. Like she's almost like she does live in the underworld, but like she's Hecate. Like she's actually I might have even talked about this when I very first started doing underworld work and stuff. I sort of was trying to map things out a little bit, and there are little like pocket dimensions and sort of side doors and things. There are like the place where Hecate lives, like if this is the main plane of the underworld, and like if this were the theoretical edge, right, then there's kind of just like this weird warping of space, and Hecate's little sub realm is over here, and it is smaller, even though she has influence over more than just this, but this is like her spot. And there's just, it's this weird stair-steppy, wavy thing of like it's connected, but it's kind of also not there. So yeah, it's oh, that's right, you didn't get to see the bones. Okay, I will grab the bones in a second. No, the accidental yelling makes it great. But just, yeah, it's fine. You get the idea. So, like, even though Hecate lives in the underworld, she's kind of also in this little sub-realm of her own. She's fucking cool, man. Not that y'all don't know. Y'all know she's cool. But, like, yeah. Okay, hold on. The bones are behind me in a slightly awkward location. I also need to catch up on what's actually been happening in chat. Oh, the honey question. I will get back to the honey question. I didn't know there was a penny here. Somebody lose a penny? Hermes? Did you? I didn't know this was here. Do you want it? I'm gonna give this to Hermes real quick. Please hold. Okay. Which, by the way, I do keep offerings for Hermes in the little box. Which means the little box has very many coins in it. Because Hermes gets a lot of coins. Okay, just a lot of coins. While we're here, anyway, just that's what the front and the sides of everything of my little Hermes altar looks like with the feather and everything. Okay, coin for Hermes. There's stale Oreos in there. It's fine. I'll try to remember to remove your stale Oreos later. Okay. Boop. And try to lift that by not the part that's hot this time. And put you here. There you go, my good sir. Mr. Hermes, sir. Okay. That's right. I have, no, not that one. I have Distraction Rock. I should have used Distraction Rock as the please excuse me while I give things to Hermes. I do not actually have Distraction Rock close enough. I need to chill out with that. Okay. Distraction Rock, look at the entire thing. Okay. The bones. 2 bone. 4 bone. And 6 bone. Okay. The bones. That's the same voice. I don't know what that voice is. I was doing that voice on Tuesday. I don't know. I don't know what that voice is. I don't know why. It's just, I get excited about the bones. Okay. Okay. We're back. We're live, folks. Okay, I remember why that. I was like, what did I mix up that I got those two mixed up? It's fine. Okay. The Zoom is comedic. Yeah. Anyway, okay, the bones. These is the bones, which everybody else saw them on the worst quality camera anyway, so now you guys get to see them on the high quality cam. I am Beauty Guru, showing you bones. It's just chicken bones, but they're all cleaned up. This is the fancy bone. Trying to get focus. Yeah. Da. Good bone. And so I have the two little, like, these are my two weird ones, my teeny tiny bone and my funky bone. Like, I know this has a name, obviously, but I don't know what it is, so to me it's just the shark fin bone, right? Because, like, look at that shit. How is that not a shark fin bone? Dem bones. So. Bones. Anyway. And they are still residually oily. I know, I am Beauty Guru now. So, I need to get like a cloth for throwing bones, but I do not have that. So currently, my cloth is a piece of tissue paper. Okay. I really want to catch up on chat because so many things have happened. Um, but I need to re-oil these anyway. I was showing, I don't know how many people were here. I redid the oil and did it properly this time. Yeah. So I like properly double boiled the oil with the myrrh, and you can see like it's an actual proper different color and everything. So I need to re-anoint the bones, but with the properly done oil. But in the meantime, all me grabbing the bones and everything was all for the purpose of asking the Hecate question. I assume the answer is yes, but hey Hecate. Okay. Yeah? Good time? Okay. So, do you like would you like / accept like or accept bay leaf as an offering? That is so barely touching. That's kind of what I thought. I was like, technically, yeah. So what it is, it's if any of the two bones are touching, that's a yes. But part of what makes it cool about doing a set of 6 bones like that is you can get it where all 6 are touching, or they'll be touching in like sets of like 3 sets of 2, or 2 sets of 2 and 2 are not touching. Like you can get degrees of like an amplitude of yes. Which is really cool. So like this is a very technically can I, if I do this, will everything be ruined? No. Hey, that's fine. Okay. So see, these two are just barely touching, right? These two are not. It looks like they are from y'all's angle, but they're not. But these two just barely. So that's like a technically yes, would accept bay leaf as offering. So like I said, it's kind of the curse of anything generic, right? Any generically accepted offering, like olive oil, like bay leaves, I'll come back to the honey thing, I promise, are all like, because they're acceptable for everybody, they're going to be more acceptable for some, less acceptable, but still probably fine for others. And I know the original question wasn't specific to Hellenic, but it's just I know Hellenic best. I know more of the Hellenic deities than I know of the Norse deities, than I know of the other people who are not in those 2 pantheons. So I focus my answer towards that for the herbs and the everything. But yeah, so that's the bones. That's how the bones work. That's the answer to the question. And that doesn't count as me throwing the bones. I was just putting them down. Okay. Let me actually properly catch up on chat here. Yeah, I keep saying I need to, I'm gonna need to get a laptop stand so that I can like put you guys here or something. But for now, please excuse me while I hunch over my computer. It's fine. Goofy distraction rock time. Even though there's no rock, even though it's just zooming in on my ear. It's actually just zooming in on my ear. That's hilarious. Okay, anyway. There we go. That's better. Thank you. Yeah, there's so much chat I have to catch up on. But also, it's way easier to review the chat on here than it is on TikTok. Like, way easier. Almost comically so, actually, if I'm honest. Yeah, if you hear background banging, there's literally someone here installing a new stove right now. So I don't know how audible that is, but that was really loud for me just now. Living in Pennsylvania, went to Earth Fair. Yeah. Ooh, nice. We love an herbalism hyperfocus. Yes. I've had stages of getting really into herbalism and back out again, but it's just I just don't retain it unless it's an herb or something that I already like. Yes, please excuse me. The good thing about having the better review is I'm like, oh, I feel like I can take time to read the comments. I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably start being entertaining again at some point. Oh yeah, the raw honey. I've had this. I don't know if I've had the raw honey from Savannah Bee Company, but I love raw honey in general, and Savannah Bee Company is good. So yeah. Okay, okay, I caught up, sort of. Cue swirling followed by cool clacking sound bone sounds. Should I make? I could make the bone clacking the alert sound. I don't know how to do that, but I probably could, and that'd be cool. And it'd be like, it's because whenever somebody subscribes or anything, there's just a little like chime of like, and so it's like instead of that, it could be like. Anyway. It's not the ear again, no. Okay, so yes, we've got... I still need to answer the honey question. What's in the oil? I can do that in a second. Yes, and then we're back. We're good? I got everything? The drawing of an apple, yes. Okay, cool. Yay, we're back. I caught up. Everything's fine. I'm really gonna have to find a better solution for that. I need to make a note to myself if I'm going to remember to actually change the sound effect. Here's my little notebook that I made in the first 10 minutes when it was just me messing with junk. Aaron helping me make sure everything was working. Thank you, Aaron, for being the first person here to help me figure all that out. Okay, make bones sound effect. If anybody's wondering what my doctor level chicken scratch looks like, when I'm doing like sigil lives and stuff, I try to have at least slightly bearable penmanship, but now it's just like combination of print and crazy cursive, like. Oh man. Oh no, not a forehead zoom too. Oh lordy, it's fine. Yes, this is my handy dandy notebook of my fancy schmancy paper. My fancy speckled paper. Speaking of Beauty Guru, now I'm not even showing off the bones. I'm just showing off my fancy paper that I like. I could have. That probably would have been a better. That would have been a better solution if I had thought about that mere moments prior. But it's okay. Wait, I have to wear a green striped pole? What? Polo? I was like, is this like a play on like a barber shop? I got... Okay. Oh, lordy. Okay. Serial killer. Okay. I've been trying to get back to these two questions, and I keep distracting myself with all of the bits and bobs. I love all the bits and bobs. I'm having a great time with the bits and bobs. So honey, I'm not 100% sure if it's honey is the closest approximation or if honey is the actual literal like same thing, but in the lore, in the mythology, this happened at I believe it was supposed to be at the wedding of Ares and Aphrodite, where everybody it was like a fancy god potluck, right? So everybody in attendance, in addition, and more than just the Olympians, right? Like every spirit entity, like nymph thing, whatever that existed at that point in the mythology, all gathered on Olympus and were issued prior to the event a competition from Zeus and Hera of basically whoever brings the best thing to the potluck is the super bestest, whatever. I forget what the actual like prize was, But there's this deep incentive to impress the king and queen of the gods by bringing the coolest thing to the wedding of Ares and Aphrodite as your like potluck thing. So I think it was actually literally the bees that brought the honey. Like it was the like bees weren't a big thing yet, but they existed. And then God potluck, yeah. The so the I'm so distracted. Oops. So everybody brought things. Honey was brought as a submission to the potluck contest. And everybody tried it, and it was one of those things where, like, the first time that you try it, the bone is my spoon. The first time that you take a little dip and a little taste of the honey, and just everybody's mind is just blown by this is the most incredible thing ever. And it essentially gets, like, it gets called ambrosia. So if you've ever heard of ambrosia is the food of the gods, that comes... This is like the myth where that is established, that ambrosia is the preferred food of the gods. And it's kind of like, and it's kind of implied that it's half food, half liquid, right? Like, it's like goblets of ambrosia. So it's essentially goblets of honey that the gods are just gobbling down. They just love this vat of honey that gets brought to the wedding. And so that is chosen as the best thing at the thing. And then Aphrodite gets... Is it Aphrodite or is it Hera? I think it's Aphrodite. Gets captured. Hephaestus has a trapped chair. Captures Aphrodite. Steals her away. Or, like, nobody can... That's what it was. That's how Aphrodite and Hephaestus get married. Is it's whoever can get Aphrodite out of the chair essentially gets to marry her instead. I laugh. It's not funny, but also it's a myth, so it's fine. So whoever can get Aphrodite out of the chair that she has been, the trapped chair that she's been put in by Hephaestus, gets to marry her, but everybody doesn't know that Hephaestus did it. But also, it's a trapped chair. It's pretty obvious that Hephaestus did it. Anyway. And then, so after everybody tries, after Ares tries, and everybody tries to rescue her, Hephaestus basically just like pushes the button to let her go, and then he gets married. So that's the story that the ambrosia / honey thing comes from. So it's like, it's not 100% clear if ambrosia is literally honey, but that's why most gods also, I've obviously talked about in that Fae video where like I also gave honey water as an offering to the Fae. Most spirits just seem to like honey. Everybody seems to just kind of agree honey's good. Because, like, you don't want to... There's reasons to not give, like, just plain sugar as an offering. Some entities will like that and some entities won't. It's one of those things where it's similar to other superstitions where, like, salt and other things like that, where part of the protective quality of salt in witchy myths is that if you're using salt to protect you and a witch essentially comes across it, she has to stop and count every single grain of salt. And that gives you time to get away, essentially, is kind of like the story there, right? So sugar has a similar association where it's so many little grains, and it's kind of like, it's a weird thing to give just sugar as an offering to most entities. But honey doesn't have that weird hang up to it. It's just this good, gloopy, sugary, sweet, flavorful, floral thing. And it's just, everybody just agrees honey's good. So that's why honey is a pretty broadly accepted offering from most, especially Hellenic deities. But yeah, I've used it as an offering for Fae. I use it as an offering for house spirits. Honey's just a really good offering. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah. I don't know that it realistically matters what type of honey you're offering. It's another one of those things where it's like a little bit the gesture of the offering is part of it anyway. So I'm sure if you gave super fancy, awesome raw honey, it might be like, you might get like extra brownie points. But I'm only ever using like, I will give Kroger brand honey as an offering. Like, it's fine. Yeah. We love honey. Uh, and then the other, much shorter answer as to what was in the oil: myrrh resin. It's just literally, I have a bag of myrrh resin particles, and that's what's in here. So I double boiled that. That's what's coating the bones. That was what was requested by Hecate to coat the bones. And I had made it. I was trying to like kind of jankily double boil it and not like do it properly because I wasn't 100% sure how it was going to go. And that was not accepted. That was one of the questions that I asked with the bones last time. Was I knew that I was supposed to coat them in myrrh oil. I didn't want to go out and buy myrrh oil for this. I probably could, but I was like, I could also just make it. So that's olive oil. If you're really making a resin oil, if you're really making a dedicated oil, you should probably use a more neutral oil than olive oil. But again, Hellenic deities, olive oil, it's fine. They like it. So yeah, that's the background on that. Hecate requested myrrh oil. I decided to make some. It wasn't sort of infused enough per Bones reading. Like, I've been using the bones to talk to her. She's fine. She will use the bones to talk to me. But her preference is that they be coated with a stronger myrrh oil. So I double boiled it properly this time, and it's should be good. Actually, let me again, while we're here and while I've got the bones out, there is also a cat on my lap. Please do not attempt to eat the bones. Although I know you are a cat and you will want to. There we go. So, Lady Hecate. So, is that oil ready to go now? Is that an acceptable concentration of myrrh in the myrrh oil? Yeah! And that's a better, clearer yes than last time. These guys. Oops. These two. We love confirmation. So, regardless, I will, once again, I shall catch up on the chat. Getting the live slightly delayed. Yeah, I think I think my comments might be coming in a little bit late. I realized this comment was made literally like 5 minutes ago. I do think I'm getting the comments a little bit slow, but it's fine. It's working out okay. But if it feels slow to you, it also feels slow to me. Yes, squirrel. I did very much squirrel. I can't with the zooming in my forehead. No. Honey's the bee's knees. To the guts. It is. Yeah, honey also never goes bad. Excellent point. Agreed. Yeah. Talking about honey brands, we love honey. Yeah. What is considered a more neutral oil? Avocado oil, vegetable oil, sunflower oil, all correct. Yes. Yeah, just most. I think vegetable oil is probably going to be the most neutral oil in most cases. There will also, like, in a lot of makeup products and stuff, they'll have jojoba oil. That one's sort of neutral. Like, that one's the carrier oil in some essential oils for, like, I think actually most, I think specifically most frankincense and myrrh essential oils have, because they're resins, right? You have to do basically what I did. You have to make some kind of double boil or some kind of concoction to infuse the resin into the oil. So in most cases, that is jojoba oil that they're using as the carrier oil. So it's pretty neutral as well. Yeah. I mean, avocado oil is great, but it's really expensive. Yeah, I would just use vegetable oil if you just need a generically neutral oil. I think peanut oil is technically also a neutral oil as long as nobody has a peanut allergy. That's why so many fast food. That's one of the, and also the frying temperature. That's part of why so many fast food restaurants use peanut oil. Anyway, okay, I'm starting to get tired. I gotta take my contacts out. We've been going for an hour and 10 minutes, and the first 10 minutes was me playing with things and testing stuff. So I think I'm gonna call that good. Let's get our. Oh, I didn't put the book in an easily accessible place. No. Yeah, jojoba oil's less available, probably more expensive because it's less available. But avocado oil is probably still more expensive. So yeah, just use vegetable oil if you need a neutral oil. We just didn't have any. Yeah, it's like even because sometimes in cooking too, right? They'll ask for specifically a neutral oil, or they'll ask for specifically olive oil. So that's why, right? If they're asking for olive oil, they mean olive oil. Don't use vegetable oil. If they're asking for a neutral oil, use something like vegetable oil, and don't use olive oil because it's too flavorful, right? There you go. Cooking talk. I've been doing a lot of kitchen-y cooking talk tonight. Yeah. I'm glad. I felt like I was all over the place in a good way, also slightly in a bad way. But I had a great time. Thank you guys for joining me. We're going to do our thingy thing. So, anybody who wants to in, you know what to do. Give that general energetic affirmation of, yes, I want to be involved in this reading. We're going to do, what are we going to do? For the next, until Tuesday, over the weekend. Yeah, reading for the next 5-ish days until Tuesday. Ooh. We got a... Thanks for subbing. Appreciate that. We got a short one. We got a... Which probably... Yep. Wow. I don't know if I've read this one before. Like I've read most of these before, but I haven't read every single one of these before. Okay, anyway. This is passage 40. Reversal is Tao's movement. Yielding is Tao's practice. All things originate from being. Being originates from non-being. That's fancy schmancy right there. Hot dog. Yeah, I want to show you guys. Is this mirrored, or can you guys read that? Yay, it's the right direction. Look at that artwork on this one. Ugh, so good. No, don't try to find my face. Yeah. It's fine. Okay, I might need to disable this whole zooming in thing. It's a little much, but I made half joke, not jokes about doing sigil ASMR. I could do sigils and bones ASMR. That could be a thing. I'm down with that. I don't have fancy microphones, but I have my little this microphone, and it's almost certainly not good enough quality for real ASMR, but I can try. I know the phones. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna read this one more time because I feel like it was so short. I just read it and then got distracted again. I did a lot of good focusing today at work during work time. I didn't get super distracted during work. I've been so distracted during this live. Okay. Again. Reversal is Tao's movement. Yielding is Tao's practice. All things originate from being. Being originates from non-being. In the fancy narrator voice and everything. Okay. I do feel like the comments are really coming in slow. So I'm gonna hang out for just another minute and just make sure if anybody has anything else they want to say. I have my saying goodbye slide. So I can also... I was I was originally gonna actually like do a crafty thing. I was gonna do my like how I do my candles and everything. It's fine. Can I? I'll probably go ahead and do this one because I unwrapped it and everything. So I'll probably do that after the live. But we will maybe we'll do the others. I feel bad because one of those over there is Odin's and I did buy it and I still haven't set it up. I may just do the candles tonight. It's fine. We'll worry about it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys for coming. I'm gonna go ahead and put myself on the tune out thank you / goodbye screen. And that gives us a minute for anybody else who wants to throw anything in the chat, or if it's still coming and it's just being slow, that'll come in. Thank you guys for joining me. Appreciate you all. Everybody, have a good night. Goodbye.